right, welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Maya with Cageburg HR, an organization built for people who are navigating workplaces that were never designed to include them, protect them, or see them fully. Tonight's conversation is titled Protecting Your Peace, Self Care, Survival, and Sanity when the world feels like it's closing in. And I want to be honest with you about why we're having it. We are in a moment. Voting rights are being attacked. Black women are losing jobs at a disproportionate rates. DEI programs have been dismantled. And every day, people are being asked to show up to work, perform, stay professional, and hold it together, while the world outside the office is actively working against them. Your nervous system is not overreacting, it is responding accurately to a real threat. This panel is not about staying positive. It is not about inspiration. It is about methodology. What what you actually do day to day to protect your mental health, keep the situation from stealing your joy, and stay grounded when the ground keeps shifting. We are not waiting for anyone to save us. So tonight we figure out how to save ourselves. Before I introduce our panelists, a few quick housekeeping notes. This session is being recorded and will be available to register attendees. Please use the chat to share your name and where you're joining. We love to see the community show up. We'll have time for audience questions towards the end. Drop the Q&A as they come to you. Now let me introduce the people at the table with me tonight. We have Portia Barnes, our first panelist, brings the science of people and organizations to the table, and she does it in a way that is practical, grounded, and centered on the humans doing the work. She holds a master's in industrial organizational psychology. She is the founder of the Workplace Reset Consulting Group, where she partners with leadership teams to redesign the environments where people work, lead, communicate, and sustain change. Her expertise spans emotional intelligence, leadership under pressure, inclusive workplace design, and a curriculum development. Portia currently serves on the board of the Michigan Associate for Industrial Organizational Psychology. She writes and speaks about people first leadership and what it actually takes to build cultures where people belong. Please welcome Portia Barnes. Portia, anything you like to add?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I have been looking forward to this conversation, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it. And I want to just say that my work sits at the intersection of people, performance, and the environments that shape how we show up. And so that'll be the lens that I'll be speaking from tonight, and I can't wait to get started. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Portia. Our second panelist, Dr. Latasha Ellie Kelly. Someone who has spent her career amplifying the stories that mainstream spaces try to ignore. And she does it with a PhD, a bookstore, and zero apologies. Dr. Latasha Ellie Kelly, known as Dr. Tasha, is the millennial black professor, educator, well-being advocate, and three times first generation college graduate. She holds a PhD in language, literacy, and culture, teaches English literature and African American studies at the University of Maryland Global Campus, and is the founder of the TMBP Media, a nonprofit disrupting mainstream narratives, and Left on Red, Kansas' only black owned bookstore. Her voice in this conversation represents what it means to fight for your peace, not just inside institutions, but beyond them. Please welcome Dr. Tasha. Dr. Tasha, anything you like to add?
No, thank you so much. I'm just excited to be here as well and appreciate the opportunity.
Sounds good. All right, we have the right people in this room tonight. Let's get into it. Let's just start here. How are we doing? Not professionally, not performatively, honestly. What does it feel like to be navigating this moment right now?
So I can kick us off, I guess. And I honestly, I feel like we are in a very unique time in the world, not just in the workplace. These are just very uncertain times that we're in. And I do believe that while normally when people say things like, well, there's a lot going on in the world, it doesn't really hit close to home. And so you can create a little bit of distance between what's happening in society. That is not the case today. We are very much dealing with real high stressful environments and workplace and non today. And I think a lot of people are functioning right now. And the concern that I'm having is if we are functioning well. And people are carrying so much uncertainty and pressure. um, Responsibilities, job insecurity, of course, is very huge right now, and the expectation to show up still in these spaces with all of this weight on us is, it's a lot. It's more than a lot. It's more than a lot. And so I think that we are functioning right now. And I want to hopefully help create some or share some insights on how we can function better in this space that we're in.
I agree.
And I totally agree, Portia. I know, Maya, you said not professionally, but as as an entrepreneur and as an educator, just in the roles that I play in the community, I've been thinking a lot about how intentional we have to be about protecting our peace. It's not going to happen by happenstance. It's not going to, like, we really have to work at it, unfortunately. And that's because of the way that society is set up. I spend a lot of time thinking about boundaries, sustainability, alignment. I pray for alignment and discernment daily. And also just thinking about operational efficiency. We often think about that professionally, but I'm like, I need my life to be more operationally efficient as well. And
Very
so,
much.
so I feel that I'm working hard. I'm in therapy. I'm doing the things that I can to be proactive about my well-being. But I feel like part of the challenge many of us are facing, in addition to what Portia was saying, is that it's like this weird space we're in, where even when we're doing those things, like the right things,
Mhm.
life is lifing. It's
Yeah.
lifing so hard that it's like you feel like you can't catch your breath. You feel like
Yeah.
you're constantly mentally and emotionally underwater. And so I think there's a level of frustration, exhaustion. And when I was thinking about this question, I was like, dang, they gonna be like, she a negative Nancy. But I mean, I'm just being for real.
Not at all.
But to Portia's point, that made me all the more excited about this conversation, because I do think that there are things we can do. So, but that's where I'm kind of at right now.
Same. Back to your when you say it's like you're swimming, it's just like we're swimming, but where, like, what's the end goal? Like, where are we going to?
Mm.
And time is so different. Like when I talk to like my parents and my aunts and uncles, different from when they coming up, and it's just like they like, what you want to do with your future? I don't know. I don't know where it's like what's going on. I
Yeah.
don't know what should I save for a house? Like the house market is crazy. Should I do all these things that society has told us to do? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what's the reward for that? I feel like it's no reward.
Mm. I think the format is out the window. That
Yes.
there was a guideline, spoken or unspoken, that we were given growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And, these are the boxes that we should be checking, and this is how you're going to show up in the world, and this is what the world is going to give you. And, there was this format that we
Yes.
were giving. And in 2026, honey, there is no format. There is no guide. There is no outline, and that's what I was speaking to. People are we're in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
We are just trying to get from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and survive and not hurt anyone in the process, and and
Honestly,
so I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, honestly, I was agreeing.
Yeah. And so it's it's such a unique time we're in, because the things that we're going through are generations, prior, our parents' generations, our grandparents' generation. Of course, each generation has had immense challenges to overcome. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so there is no disparaging, any generational challenges, but what we got going on today, honey, uh, we pulling challenges from the 60s, from the 70s, from we're pulling it from multiple decades, and we're having to endure it all today.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Yeah.
a very unique space to be in, and that is a very particular weight that I would venture to say very few have carried in this
For
world that
sure.
we're in. So we are creating this format as we go with each lived experience, with each success and failure. We are creating what the format should be for us individually, for us as a community. And hopefully we continue having these type of conversations to help continue building, giving building blocks for
Mm-hmm.
the format that is needed to not just survive in these spaces, but to function well and to ultimately thrive. You said, what is the goal here? We're swimming. Ultimately, the goal is to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
that's
Yeah.
the dream. That's what we want. And so we just got to keep talking and keep working towards that goal. But like Dr. Tasha said, man, some days, baby, you just, whew. It's real. It's real. So it's not. I definitely didn't take your perspective as a Debbie Downer at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
very like, no, this is really what's happening today. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about it. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So yeah.
sure. So just going in, so Dr. Tasha, what has felt the heaviest about this season, personally and professionally?
Mm.
Whew, my. No, it's been a lot. And kind of just as a segue from our previous question,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like Portia touched on this, but it's also the fact that with all of that, it's that expectation that we are showing up like nothing is happening.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so unnatural, and so that's a challenge as well. But so that's
Mhm.
one of the things that's heavy, and I really want for us to be able to not not have that expectation anymore. Like I want us to be able to show up freely, and like Portia, you were saying, just being able to be, but that is not what is elevated. Like what's praised is you just pushing through everything. So anyway, we'll get into that more later. But um, I would say one of the things this season in particular that's been heavy for me is I don't subscribe to the mindset that like if you're doing what you love, it's not work. No, it's absolutely still work.
Mm-hmm.
It still requires some level of labor, and you still need to be, trying to have your boundaries and rest and all of that. Um, it's not like just because you're passionate about something, all of a sudden you're immune to becoming burnout from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't like when people say that, because I love my work. Whether it's teaching, I love my students. I love when I'm doing work in the community, the stories that I tell, the stories I get to tell, that I'm privileged to tell, the spaces and experiences that we're creating. It is beyond fulfilling. But I think there's a unique weight that comes when you're doing work that is for the community, that if you are not careful in having that mindset and knowing that what you're doing is for the community, it can absolutely lead to self-betrayal. So a lot of times there are these expectations that are placed on people who are doing community-centered work, and oftentimes it is even by the individuals who we hope would benefit from that work. It is an unrealistic expectation, and at times an uninformed expectation, in the terms that they are not aware of available resources or what is actually possible based on an individual's capacity. So there's this unspoken and sometimes spoken expectation that because your work is purpose driven and for the people, for your people, that you should always be available. You should always be accessible. You should be doing stuff for free. You should be doing things for little to nothing, always giving, giving, giving. And that has been super challenging for me, because I naturally want to give and help and all of that, and I find joy in that. But I also have to remind myself, sis, like you're not working 9 to 5 anymore. This
Yeah.
is a business. So I've had to kind of grapple with the fact that protecting myself doesn't necessarily always align with what people are wanting from me. And I think, especially as Black women, we are often conditioned to equate self-sacrifice with goodness, or like being a
Mhm.
good person, Christian woman,
Mhm.
and so that is something that I've had to unlearn and really work at unlearning. And so I don't know, so that's just been heavy for me, is that constant tension between wanting to build meaningful things, wanting to consistently show up for the community, for my people, in ways that are mutually beneficial, but also recognizing and honoring that I can't and I won't abandon myself in the process. And I really have had several experiences this past year where that is the expectation, and so it can be a little bit disheartening, and frustrating as you're doing the work. So that's something that's been weighing on me a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just hard trying not to be like a people pleaser, but
Hmm.
at the same time you want to help people,
Right.
but you need to like put yourself first, and it's just kind of hard to like try to maneuver that. I want to
Hmm.
be that person people can call it, but who can I call on?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Who helps the strong friend, right?
Mhm. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So, Portia, how do you know like how do you know when your piece has been disrupted?
It's a good question. So I know when my piece has been disrupted, uh, there are a couple of different signs for
Mhm.
me. So, for example, I'm a very, I try to be very logical in my thinking and how I respond and how I move, decision making. So I can tell when something is off, when my piece is starting to be a little bit unsettled, when I begin responding prior to fully processing what is happening. Okay.
Mhm.
Because I do believe words have power. And
Mhm.
so I am intentional with mine. So I try to view whatever the situation I'm in, whatever the space I'm in, um, very intentionally. And I try to navigate it not with zero emotion, but with a very healthy balance of
Mhm.
emotion and logic. And I know that my piece is starting to become disturbed when I am responding quickly at things, when I'm losing, and I have a shortage of patience, right, on
Mhm.
situations when, um, for example, if I'm going into something I perceive to be a toxic space, before I even walk in, I'm bracing myself. Like, your body starts showing these um, fight or flight reflexes. And those are real signs
Mhm.
that your body is telling you, like, this is, it's questioning, is this a safe space you're walking into? Is
Mhm.
this an environment that you can be yourself in? You can bring your authentic self in. So those are some of the signs that I see. For example, I worked at a previous company, and I deemed it a very toxic environment. And I found myself doing things like rereading emails, like basic emails, like things are
Mhm.
like, have a great day today. And I'm like, well, what's that mean? You know, like, it's like, it's things like that. You find yourself trying to find the deeper meaning into something because you have lost the confidence that
Mhm.
people are, coming to you on the up and up, right? Then now we're getting into psychological safety, right? You don't feel, and your body will start showing that. It'll start giving you those red flag, like that little
Mhm.
voice, like, so these are some signs. Or for me, and I've left environments because of this. I have two beautiful kids and a husband here, and I've worked very hard to not carry stress over into spaces where the spaces that are meant to be my peace.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's not, obviously, it's a work in progress. There are times you're going to have to bring work home.
Mhm.
You know what you do. I'm an entrepreneur, just, like Dr. Tasha. And so we don't have a 9 to 5. So there are times I'm working 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, or 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. But when you're bringing that energy, that unsettled energy from your job or from environments that, um, have disrupted your peace, and then that starts carrying over into your personal life. It starts carrying over into other avenues that you have designed to be your places of peace, those are very real signs like this something ain't right. Like this not gonna work long term. This is not sustainable here,
Mm-hmm.
because that's not okay. That's not okay, especially if you're intentionally building these environments where you can show up as yourself and rest. They need to be off. They need to be off limits. And when you start dragging that tension into those spaces, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. Some places, some thresholds you walk into, you have to say a little silent prayer and be like, okay.
Yeah, you need to take the wheel, child, because
It's not gonna be my joy today, so I'm gonna go in here. No.
listen, what they say, you better try Jesus, not me. Okay,
Okay.
because yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Dr. Tasha, how has your body told you that something wasn't right before your mind admitted it? I think it kind of goes into like what Portia was saying, like you have those feelings before you
Mhm.
even go to certain places. So
Mhm.
how do your body react to that?
For me, I really resonated with what you were saying, Portia, about the whole when you're bracing or like just preparing for scenarios, making up scenario, like just going down a rabbit hole. So that'll start
Yeah.
happening for sure. And also that kind of knee jerk reaction. But physically, for me, I have had migraines and tension headaches since I was 11. But I typically know my triggers; they run in my family. So when I'm in a period where I'm getting migraines multiple times a
Mhm.
week, that is a sign that something is not that something's off kilter, something's not right.
Mhm.
And sometimes I can easily pinpoint what it is, and I've been known that I needed to get it together. And sometimes I have to like really like sit down somewhere and think about like what because everything is just going so fast, time is
Mhm.
flying. And so sometimes I have to kind of really take stock of what has changed in whatever this time period is, and think about how I can, as my aunt would say, regroup.
Mm-hmm.
And just sometimes that means releasing something. I have grown a lot in the area of um, not feeling guilty about having to release something, or like I just was telling a business partner that we may not be doing this event that we usually do. And I
Mhm.
used to feel such guilt and just like beat myself up about that stuff. But I have been noticing over the past probably 3 to 4 weeks that my migraines have been spiking. And so it's like my health and well being is more important than that event. And so I would say for me, the physical part of it, my stomach also I'll start having issues there. So I think it's really important that we also, in addition to like our behavioral train changes, that we also consider our physical, like what's changing in our body. Are there symptoms that we're having that we don't usually have, and then not just brushing those off. Because I know I used to have a habit of that as well. Like, oh, I
Mhm.
know I have migraines, so it's just another. But I know my body well enough to know that this is not my usual type of, you know what I'm saying? So just, I want us to not put ourselves on the back burner how we usually do.
Mm-hmm. Because some things are like silent killers. Like you can be having a stroke and you won't even know,
Absolutely.
Hmm.
or
Absolutely.
having an aneurysm. Like that scares me
Mhm.
so bad. Like you wouldn't even know. Like there's no symptoms out there. You just think it's just a small migraine. It could be something much worse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um.
Especially in our culture,
Hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and especially as women.
Hmm.
And I don't I don't like speaking for all women, but I do know that I can speak to patterns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a pattern in how women, and I don't even necessarily, yes, of course, I can speak to us in our culture specifically, but we are just not trained to care for self first.
Hmm.
It is not, we did not learn this in our kindergarten classes. We did, and I spoke to, I was on another panel about a month ago, and one of the other panelists shared, she said, if you take a second and contemplate your upbringing, and if you have male siblings or just, if you were in kindergarten or whatever, look at how we are brought up in the simplest of ways. Boys are brought up to, to lead, to take care of themselves, there is a pattern of self awareness and self care that is taught in males. And our patterns is what we get baby dolls, right? And what is the first thing we're supposed to do? We're supposed to care for them. We're
Mhm.
supposed to make sure they're fed and change their diapers and make a family and get dinner for the fam. You know what I mean? It's just instinctually that is what we're created, and that's what we're being told at such a young age that it's embedded in us. And so now we have to unlearn not bad patterns. These
Mhm.
aren't bad things we're being taught, right? We're just missing a really big piece of the puzzles, which is put your mask on first.
Mhm.
And that's such a challenge for us all. And it's so simple, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard to do. And I struggle with it myself. I have been creating boundaries with my girls. They're
Mhm.
10 and 5, and that is a it's a labor of love for me personally, because I don't want them to be 30, 40
Mhm.
realizing that they should, oh, I should create a boundary here. I don't know how to do that. Oh, now I have to learn how to create boundaries in my 30s and
Mhm.
40s. So I'm trying to teach them and unlearn simultaneously for myself. So if there's a piece of, chocolate in my refrigerator and I've given you all sweets, no, you cannot have my chocolate. I don't even eat chocolate. No, you cannot have my chocolate. Simply because I have to show you there are some things that are set aside for mommy. If I
Mhm.
need 15 minutes of alone time to regroup, no, you cannot come and sit with me. No, you know what I mean? Like these are
Mhm.
small things, but they will have a long lasting impact on my girls. And so that's worth my mom guilt that I feel when I say no to these moments, because I want to teach them that it's because it's not like it's, if we don't do it, the next generation of women are going to do the exact same thing we're doing,
Mhm.
you
For
know?
sure. Let's see. So, Portia, what's the difference between, what do you think the difference between stress and emotional exhaustion?
Mm, okay, yeah, let's get into it. So, an example of stress. I have a lot on me right now. I have a deadline for work on Friday. The kids have weekend activities. I am on one of the committees for church on Sunday. This has potential to be a stressful week. I got a lot going on. Okay.
Mhm.
That can be quantified as stress. Emotional exhaustion is something very different. It's adding all of those elements that create the stress and then saying, I have zero capacity to handle this.
Mhm.
Now you've dove into, I have the plate, it's heavy, it's overflowing, and I have no way of holding it up. And stress is going to come, you know, in anything that you're doing. That it's there is potential for stress in whatever goal you're setting for yourself. But to understand emotional exhaustion, there is a different feeling. It can show up as numbness. Some people just detach altogether. Some people begin being resentful of the people or the environments that are creating that in that space for them. The patience is low. You're snapping at everybody.
Mhm.
Anybody can get it. Okay, you waking up with that energy. Don't say nothing good. Who said it's a good morning? I didn't say it was
Mhm.
good. You know what I mean? Like it's just very low energy, very low patience. There is no that distinction. It matters, right? Because emotional exhaustion is not something that you can fix with a good night's sleep.
Mhm.
That's it's a deeper rooted issue that needs to be taken care of, addressed, identified for what it is. We need to stop saying that we're stressed out and start acknowledging that we're beyond stressed. We're at a point of exhaustion. My
Mhm.
cup is empty. Let's start there. Let's
Mhm.
acknowledge what is happening with us so that then we could begin to counteract and start getting the tools necessary to begin pouring back into ourselves. So that to me is a big difference. The issue is repeated exposure to pressure without any outlet or covering to offset it. That's the difference between the two.
All right. Thank you so much, Portia. The next question is, how do people normalize dysfunction without realizing? And feel free for, either one of you all can answer, or you can put your, different inputs on
You want to take this or?
that.
No, I was gonna say, I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'm leaving some of these to Portia because I am a PhD, and I don't be trying to, act like I'm something else. So I want to make sure that you're getting responses from somebody who's an expert for some of these questions.
No
I,
worries.
I think we've all have enough lived experience to be experts in these questions.
I don't want no problem.
You are fine.
um, so, how do you normalize? How do people normalize dysfunction without realizing it? I think that people do that when they start building habits around the dysfunction. Um, what I mean is, they stop asking those critical questions that challenge the energy, the scenario, the culture or environment that they're in. They stop asking, why is this workload so heavy? Why have we not created systems to make this a more efficient project? Right? These are questions that will challenge the status quo of that environment. Um, so when you stop asking those type of questions and you start anticipating the chaos, now you have begun to normalize the dysfunction. So let me just brace for it, right? That's just like when you said, when you go, I'm going into work, I'm driving, I pull up, you get that deep breath in, you're like, all right, it's gonna be some bull crap here today. Let me just get ready for it now, right? It's you're already beginning to to normalize that in your mind. You're no longer naming the poor communication that's going on at work. You just start anticipating it. You know it's going to be some confusion. You know that the left hand's not going to know what the right hand is doing. So let me just start preparing myself for it now, right? You stop expecting any follow through, and you say, "It's no point in me calling this person. They don't know what they're doing anyway. They're not going to help. Let me
Mhm.
just do it myself. At least I know it'll get done then, right? It'll get done right." So then the dysfunction has now become the culture. And that is what we want to try to stop. We need to stop that. Like, we can't stop asking the questions. We can't stop challenging the things that we know don't make any sense. Because once we start creating normalcy around this dysfunction and you start carrying it, and then you start setting yourself up for um, burnout, right? Emotional exhaustion, and all of these negative factors that come with creating normalcy around dysfunction.
Mhm. For sure. And what does burnout actually looks like before the breakdowns happen?
So I want
You saw that deep breath I just took?
before you get on that one, Portia, I just was gonna say I had a thought as you were talking about when we talk about how we normalize the dysfunction. I know for myself, sometimes I have when I know that I'm going to a place, I have friends that will check me lovingly. They will like question like, no, what is going on? Like they know me well enough,
Mhm.
and so I think sometimes too we will kind of start to like isolate,
Yeah,
to avoid that kind of checking
accountability.
in. So
Hmm.
just being mindful of that as well.
I think for me, I kind of like shut down. I'm like, I don't
Hmm.
want, like, I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm sad. I know it's good to talk to someone about it, but I don't want to like dump my load on somebody else because I know everybody else have their own problems going on. So I'm like, and on a personal level, I'm trying to like see, like, okay, it is good to talk to somebody, but I also don't want somebody else to take my mental load either.
And see that, and isn't that going right back to
Yes.
our
Mhm.
predisposed, right,
Mhm.
reaction of, I don't want to be a burden.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Somebody else has more to do. can they carry my weight?
Mhm.
Right. And now you have pushed your stuff down and began thinking and caring more about can they handle it because of what they have going on than you handling your own and working through your own process.
Mhm.
Um, and it's very easy to do. It's very easy to do because nobody wants to feel like a burden.
Mhm.
So my husband calls it trauma dumping.
Mhm.
And so, you don't want to feel like you're trauma dumping on someone. And for that, though, I do say a couple of things. I'm also in therapy. I've been in therapy since I was an undergrad. And I will always advocate for therapy because it saved my life in more ways than one. And
Mhm.
having an unbiased person that you can speak to and unload, they have people that actually go to school for this. So it's not trauma dumping. That's literally their job. That's what they are here to do, to help you navigate those thoughts and those feelings and to help you process them in a safe way, in a healthy way, so that you can be better for it and you can gain tools and insight for yourself. And if therapy is not something that a route that you want to take, there is um, so many other aspects. There's journaling. There is power in writing these thoughts out. There is a release that occurs when you write things out. You can I've known people to just get a voice recorder and just say it out loud, get it out of your mind, get it out of your thoughts, release it. You have to find whatever outlet is comfortable for you to release that from inside of you. You can leave it there or you can do something with it, but get it up out you. Okay, let's start there. Journal it down, write it out, sing it out. Girl, get you an old Mary J. Blige album and sing out all your frustration. Whatever the outlet is that works for you. But you gotta start with that release
Mhm.
and not feel guilty for needing to release.
Mhm.
Let's change that narrative in our mind because there's nothing wrong. Everybody else is doing it,
Mhm.
right? Everybody else. So why not us?
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
So, so why do high performers often struggle the most with asking for help? Like these, like people that's like, oh, I've got all these things going on. I really don't need the help. They actually do need the help.
Absolutely, yes.
Mhm.
Uh, were you about to say something?
I was going to say, not from a professional perspective, but I know for me, I would feel, not now, but I've been freed up from that. But I would feel like asking for help was like a marker of failure. It's just
Mhm.
like I should be able to do this all by
Yep.
myself. Now, where I was getting that from, I mean, but it's a lot of self-imposed,
Yeah.
unrealistic expectations that we place on ourselves,
Yeah.
and then when we don't meet them, we're beating ourselves up. So yeah, it just, for me, it was really rooted in, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I should not have to ask anybody else. And like, particularly when it came to school stuff, being first gen, I knew that family my immediate family at least wouldn't really be able to assist, and it goes back to that burden thing. But it's like I
Mhm.
didn't give them an opportunity to. Maybe they wouldn't have known the answer, but I know that they love me to the point that we would have been going and researching, and they would have helped me, but I didn't give them the opportunity to. So
Yeah.
That's really good.
You have
Um,
any input, Portia?
I agree wholeheartedly. Um, that unrealistic expectation we set on ourselves
Mhm.
is. I'm genuinely curious to know where does that stem from because I feel like we're born with it almost
Mhm.
of just excelling. I do know that environments also um, support it, that unrealistic expectation. So, as if you're a high performer,
yeah.
you're often rewarded for not needing much. not needing a lot of assistance, right? You become the reliable one. You
Mm-hmm.
become the strong one, right? And you're the one that is now being brought these challenges and circumstances because you're going to figure it out. Don't give it to Portia. She got it, right? And so then the environment that you're in is now supporting this unrealistic expectation that you are never going to need help, that it's taboo to ask for help. And so over time, asking for help begins feeling like a threat to your identity, right? It starts to feel like, well, is my reputation going to take a hit if they know that I needed help on this project? Or and then sometimes ultimately you can attach it to your value. And that is just wrong on so many levels because we are not the problems we solve. We're not. And I there's so much beauty in the process of failure that is not highlighted and talked about. You learn, in my opinion, so much more when you fail than when you succeed. And so that failure is, asking, well, I didn't do well in this, let me ask for help. Like all of that is intertwined together. And when you start attaching your value to never needed help, never, never needing anything, I got it. I'm a strong Black woman. Can we just please retire strong Black woman forever and ever in a day? I'm gonna be the weak Black woman. Like I want to let me be the weak Black woman just for a moment, okay? So like real talk. Can we just be honest here? The strong Black woman is exhausting.
Yes.
You're never off. You're never off. That's not sustainable.
I know. I love a good off day.
You gotta have a good off day. And so that's, the environments that we're creating for ourselves. We have to create some spaces to be the weak Black woman or the weak woman, or, and not shame ourselves in using language like that. I'm not strong today. And that's okay.
That's fine.
Yep.
And that's okay. So I think that's something that a lot of high performers struggle with. I have definitely struggled with it. Yeah.
So what boundaries, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but what boundaries that you have put in place that changed your life?
It's so many. It's so many. But just like even the idea of people having constant access to me, I think that I tied part of my worth also to just accessibility. Like people, they need me, they want to talk to me, whatever the case may be. And it's like, it's not, you can't, how? How can you sustain that and still do the stuff that you're supposed to be doing? So, and that goes for family members and everything. And she knows that I would say this, but like, even for my mom, it was like, and what really helped change this was when I got married, because it was like my mom called, it didn't matter what was happening, what was going on. I felt that an obligation, I had to answer for her. And I think that we had developed a kind of codependency through the divorce and being just her and me, and it's just we all we got and all that. But going into my adult years, I had to kind of put my foot down a little bit respectfully and create that separation. And it's like, okay, if I can do this with my mom, I certainly can do this with whoever else. And so that's just one of many, many things. But that one has really been a game changer as I've like gone deeper into my entrepreneurship and stuff. I have to protect my time in order to protect my peace. And so sometimes that just means I'm not, you don't have access to me.
Yeah.
Anything
that's
you want
an
to
amazing.
add, Portia?
Yes, that's kudos to you for sure. I am getting better at it. I am. And they say, the older you get, the less you care about using the complete sentence of no.
Okay, yes.
And no is slowly and intentionally becoming a very good friend of mine. And so I'm definitely working as well on strong boundary of access. That's a really, really great one. For me, I need a clear expectation.
Mm.
I gotta have it. I gotta have it because we're there. No two people are the same. We don't think the same. We don't process the same. And so the sentence that I share with you is based off of my own thoughts and perspective of that sentence, but how you receive it might not be the same as how I gave it, right? So I need us to be aligned on what our expectations are. And
Mm-hmm.
that, so the clarity is undeniable. That's a boundary for me. We're going to talk this thing out until we almost saying it simultaneously. Okay. Because when I leave this space and I move, I'm
Mhm.
moving off of the clarity of the expectation that we're setting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So that's become a really big boundary for me. Clarity in our communication, clarity in our expectations.
For sure. And I want to open the chat to any questions that anyone may have. Time has really flown. I guess when you're having a good conversation, time just goes. So if anyone have any questions that we could answer and go over. All right. So to wrap things up, Dr. Tasha and Portia, if everyone leaves tonight remembering one thing about protecting your peace, what do you want it to be?
Mm.
Okay, I'm gonna try to bottle this up into into one thing, but it might have some offshoots. um, so something that I started sharing with my students that I saw, especially my young black women students that were struggling, was that you have to, when it comes to yourself, your business, your school, anything having to do with you have to approach it as a snob. And they'd be like, what? Because, we know snob
Mm.
is considered a negative thing, but it's an
Mhm.
acronym. So S is for stepping out on faith. The N is for no comparing yourself to others. The O is for owning your story. And the B is for bet on yourself always. Because if you don't, who else will? And so I could go on and on about that, but that has been just like a model and way of being for me that has served me extremely well in this new journey as an entrepreneur. This is like a second life for me, So my background is in higher ed. So it has required an extreme amount of faith and belief in myself and not looking to the left or the right, because that will jack you up in and of itself. Like you could be doing something, somebody else is doing the same thing, but differently, not better. They are just doing it differently. And you look to the left for a millisecond and now you like throw the whole thing away. And it's like you was you were doing fine. You was just
Yeah.
pleased with it the other day. So it's like,
Mhm.
just stay on your path. When it comes to saying no, I also say we like to season everything, salt and pepper, give all these explanations, but no doesn't need seasoning. That is the one thing that you don't need to season. You don't need no extra. Your no is your no. And then the last thing I would say is just really get comfortable extending yourself grace, because we give it to everybody else and we are usually the last person that we extend it to. And so even what you were talking about earlier, Portia, when it comes to um, how we see what others need and thinking about what others need, but we don't consider that same stuff for ourselves. We so
Mhm.
quickly extend grace to everybody else, and so I just want us to do the same thing for ourselves.
Thank you, Dr. Tasha. Portia, anything you'd like to add?
Yes. That was great. That was great. Great advice. So, I want a couple of quick things. Um, First is protecting your peace is not a luxury. I don't want. I want you to walk away understanding the value of protecting your own peace. Don't consider it as an option. Don't look at it as I can take it or leave it. It's not a luxury. Um, And it also directly it's very important to make it a part of your capacity process. And if you don't have a capacity process, create one. Okay. Understand how you function at 100%, understand how you function at 50, understand how you function at 0. And to be clear, you're not functioning well at 0. So don't think that you are, because you're not.
Mhm.
Um, and once you create that capacity process, understand that protecting your peace is heavily predicated on how you function in those spaces. And then the next thing I would say is protecting your peace is not about ignoring reality. Okay. Both can be happening at the same time. Just understanding that protecting your peace is understanding what the reality is, but creating the boundaries necessary so you can show up well and show up healthy in the reality that you're in. So it's
Mhm.
very important. And then lastly, it's about refusing to let pressure, dysfunction, survival become the only things that shape your identity, that shape who you are, and that shape your future. So, those would be the things that I would like to leave everyone with.
Thank you so much. Before we close tonight, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to our panelists for being honest, thoughtful, and generous with your experiences. And thank you to everyone who showed up tonight, because showing up when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or carrying a lot of emotional is not a small thing. I hope
Mm-mm.
tonight reminded you that protecting your peace is not selfish, it's not a weakness, it's not avoidance, it is survival. And for many people, it is necessary in order to keep going. We talked a lot tonight about burnout, boundaries, emotional exhaustion, and navigating systems that can feel heavy or harmful. But I also hope you leave with remembering this: you do not have to earn rest, you do not have to prove your pain before taking
Mm.
care of yourself, and you do not have to carry everything alone. If something tonight resonated with you, I encourage you not to let it stay as just a moment of inspiration. Take one thing from this conversation, one boundary, one practice, one honest realization, and commit to applying it this week. On behalf of Cageburg HR, thank you again for spending your evening with us. Please stay connected with us for future conversations, resources, and events centered on navigating work, well being, and workplace realities with honesty and community. Take care of yourselves and protect your peace, and we hope to see you at the next event. Have a good night. Thank you,
Good
ladies.
night.
Thank you.